Hope you're all having a fine Labor Day evening. Let's wait and see if anyone comes on here. Figured either way, if anyone comes on or not, it'll be a good chance to capture a beautiful sunset. For those that have been watching my fishing ventures, right here's the river. Well, one river comes in here, and the Bitterroot River comes in here. Right there's where Kelly's Island is. And I'm just going to be quiet here for a bit, see if anyone comes on. Hey, Henry. Not sure what was going on with the shorts, but looks like maybe it's working now. Kind of up on a hill overlooking Missoula from here, at least part of it, south side of town. Yeah, I'll have to figure that out. I'm not sure. Yeah, that was weird. I had to turn your moderator status back off, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But I'll have to look into that and see. Yeah, that's the only thing I changed this morning before I went out. And then when I got back home, I turned it back off. And yeah, I wasn't sure if you just weren't able to do the unlisted videos. Being a moderator, I thought maybe you'd be able to see those. Yeah, lots of smoke in the valley. Lots of fires again, so at least not any really close to me, but enough to make it pretty hazy. Yeah, we're up on a hill here, and you can kind of see this flat here. And then, yeah, the rest of town stretching. Well, you're only seeing about a quarter of it. It's so smoky you can't even see. But it'll make for a pretty sunset. Yeah, that picture on my community tab where I was kind of showing the rings from the old lake lines from Lake Missoula. I'm up on that hill right now. Yeah, a lot of people come up here, sometimes to make out, sometimes just to watch the sunset. Exhausting. I was hoping to find a good spot to do some live footage, but there's just no fish. Ended up catching a crawdad that pinched me, made me bleed. A great big slug or a not a slug, a great big leech. Got a video of them. Yeah, I think a lot of the smoke is coming over from Idaho. I know down Stevensville, kind of down towards Darby, they have a fire down there, but I've heard that Idaho's got a lot more fires than us right now. Good to see you in here, Dixon. Probably still have a little bit more sunlight left for you over there in Idaho. Or actually, you'll be right on the other side of those mountains we're looking over. Yeah, that mountain, those ridges you see up there are kind of the area of the Montana-Idaho border. Ah, you are getting dark. Yeah, I bet in Florida your sunset's over there probably. Be almost 10 o'clock. Yeah, it should look really cool as it starts going under the mountain over there. Ah, Henry, was that question for me? Ah, yeah, I'm going to move this up a little bit so I can get a little less cars and a little more. I don't know if that's any better with the power lines. I have some sand and gravel down in that 40 breeder that I want to make into the Hillstream Loach breeding tank. I got a lot of my agates and quartz and all that stuff that I've cleaned up and gonna lay down in there, make some good super polished rock for them. It's funny, in my camera screen it looks like the sun is setting, but when you look at it with your eyes it still has a little ways to go. Better put my glasses on or quit staring at the sun. Go blind up here. "25 years ago when I was in high school, didn't have nearly as much traffic. This is a good place to go and get some quiet, but have to subdevelop the whole area. Except for this little farm here, it's been preserving his land. Off to the right of me, they have is it Shadows Keep golf course. Ah, thank you. Hopefully I'm not too boring for you. Sometimes I just like to look at stuff and be quiet. I'm feeling pretty good. Had a good relaxing weekend. Got pretty exhausted though. I walked about 4 miles today on the Clark Fork and Bitterroot where they converge around on Kelly's Island, getting shorts, and have another little, about a 5-minute video I'll probably be putting out mid next week. Yeah, I took quite a break myself. Even had salt water, got a lot invested into that years ago, and just financially I couldn't take it anymore. Gave it about 15 years and started back up again and went back to basics. Now it's starting to go down. Henry, do you have any fish room updates? I've seen some of Lucas's down there. You guys get a pretty sunset. Maybe not the mountains, but I didn't have these power lines right above me. These clouds are going to look really pretty, right? I guess it's... Yeah, that power line is just ugly. Try to minimize it. Yeah, I've been wanting to make some type of air-powered egg basket for some of my stuff. I don't know if that's what you're doing, but you'll have to show us. Make a good video. Yeah, the river is beautiful there. I know there's... Watch videos on the Salmon River. People live where it's either helicopter or boat access only, something like that. That'd be pretty wild. But yeah, beautiful area. It's just starting to go down. Are you hearing much road noise, traffic noise, or wind noise? That's good. You probably hear this traffic. Yeah, Jeff's an awesome dude. Really appreciate him. Wondering if we'll get any purples here. Yeah, I saw that. That video. No, I just have the one survivor. Gonna have to get some more when they get back in season. But that'll give me some time to get the biofilm and algae really established in that tank first, so we'll have plenty of food. Yeah, I know with mine they like it cool, but I think part of the coolness might have to do with oxygen absorption. So it might be without air, you kind of have to run them cool. But if you have air, you can run them warmer. But all of my stuff is cool water. I run about anywhere from 69 to 72 degrees. But that's about to change. I'm going to have some. I think my CPD would breed better a little warmer. I'm not sure. That's Lucas's recommendation. Yeah. Angelfish is one that I had back when I was a kid. Actually, my sister had the angelfish, but I've kind of thought about getting back into them, but I'm the type that has to breed everything, and if I had monstrous batches of angelfish, I don't know where I'd unload them in Missoula. Yeah, that's pretty warm. But there's a lot of fish that love that too. It's just I've kind of adapted. I like Danios. They kind of like it cooler. Some of them do. Played a little bit with the dirted tanks. The one that I have that's dirted right now is the probably the worst one. The Shabunkin goldfish loach tank. They dig in that stuff all the time, so it's always a mess. But I'd like to experiment with that more. But I do kind of minimal filtration. Most of my hang-on backs, if they might have plants growing in them. If not, they're just there to kind of break up the surface scum on the water. Yeah, you definitely don't want to overdo it. Don't want to turn it into a nightmare. I'm eager to get a few more, or a lot more, but kind of crazy like that. One thing though, like with me, the tanks have been pretty good therapy, lowering my blood pressure. It's kind of peaceful. I like gardening too, but I can stay in temperature control and garden in my tanks instead of being out in the sunset when it's 100 degrees out. I want to get me a pet bear someday. But that makes it tough. I was a caregiver for my grandfather when we busted his hip. My grandmother had already passed, but after that he went downhill. Well, about 3 years, but pretty quick because he was really mentally on top of it when he broke his hip. But it didn't take long for things to break down. But he got it pretty severe right up front and just sudden. And part of my job was living with him. Actually, the house I live in now was his house. But I know how draining that can be sometimes as it gets progressed. Well, I think that you kind of hit a point where you get enough aquariums that it starts increasing your blood pressure again. I don't know what that number is, but I'm sure there's a number. And fish, they can make great companions and sometimes easier to unload than dogs and cats and stuff happens. I know for me, my favorite are the loaches, the dojo loaches. They like climbing into your hand and sucking on your wrist, and it's kind of funny fish. The problem with them is they're messy, and you have to that tank. Shabunkin too, but I have to do a lot of water. That's the only tank I have to do water changes in frequently. Yeah, my cat got her in 2008. I got a Yorkie the same year. He had a stroke about 5 years ago. But the cat was always bigger than the Yorkie. It was always funny. She would pick on him. But they were friends. Yeah, if I didn't have to work away from home all day. I love Yorkies. They're so cute. They fight. But I did have a roommate years ago. He had a pit bull crossed with a bull mastiff, and she was a super gentle, huge bodied, but just looked like a pit bull. But yeah, she was the sweetest dog. She had the temperament of the mastiff, just the looks of the pit bull. But always thought if I could get that combination again, it'd be a great dog. But you just have to work them so much to get the energy out. Yeah, my Yorkie, near the end, his vision was kind of going. But he had a lot of problems with kind of neurotic behavior. Like when it came time to eat, he would get into this thing where he'd bounce from one side of his little eating pen to the other, and he would have seizures once in a while when he did that. So one time he was eating and had a seizure while he was eating, so I think that the food in his throat, he couldn't swallow it, and kind of choked and had a seizure at the same time. I was trying to work it out with my pinky, but just he was too seized up. He was my little buddy, Bear. He'd go with me anywhere. I haven't ever had Rotties, but I had a friend who had some. He actually had he was a homesteader, had like 7 kids up in this homestead, off grid in the mountains. But they had 3 Rottweilers, or 2 brothers and a sister. But one day they left the house and left me in there with one of their children, and it was like a 1-year-old child. The child started eating a cigarette butt, and I got up to get the cigarette butt away from the kid, and those dogs, they knew me. They didn't bite, but they put their noses against me and pushed me right back down into the seat until Mom and Dad got home. You know, they knew that kid, they needed to protect it, and they did it in the most gentle way they knew how, I guess. But it always amazed me, like the family protectors that they can they can be. My brother-in-law had one, and it got to be about 2 years old. Its stomach like turned or something like that. It died. I've heard that can be a thing in some of those breeds, that some problem with the stomach. I'll have to look up those dogs. Are they the great big long-haired dogs? Those Akbash? I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. I'm a service rider at a auto repair shop. I'm basically the person who answers the phone, writes the estimates, and schedules appointments for auto repair. I don't think we're going to get many more colors in the sky tonight. I think the smoke is just shading it too much. Those are the Bitterroot Mountains in front of us, and off towards the left. Viewing off towards the right, take you down towards St. Regis and over I-90 over to Coeur d'Alene. You just kind of follow the sunset down those mountains. That's that way, but the way we're looking, if you go right, you go to northern Idaho. If you go left, you go to central or southern Idaho. Yeah, the mountains are one reason, even though I'd love to be able to garden and everything like you can there in Florida. I just love the mountains. That's one thing I liked about Lewiston, Idaho, is there's mountains around, kind of, but you could really grow most of the year around. But the city definitely needs more trees. Yeah, those big white dogs. I watch called Homesteading Family. They're kind of up in northern Idaho. I think they have some of those. And kind of recommend them as a guard dog or a flock dog or. So you're up over 93. Swamps. I actually do kind of like swamps when I'm not getting bit by mosquitoes. When I was a kid, a lot of the swamps around here, I would spend my summers in them, catching frogs and snakes and turtles and any kind of weird little creature I could find. But alligators, no. Pythons, I could deal with those. But alligator, no. Oh yeah, the mosquitoes do love me. Mosquitoes need friends too. Huh. Yeah, the Great Pyrenees, that's one that I am more familiar with. Just, you know, traditionally, like that's what I remember as a kid, but I've seen a lot of people kind of recommending this other big white dog. Haven't made any progress on it. I figured I might. I've been thinking about doing it, but I was thinking, that might give me something to do this winter when I can't go out on the rivers. But yeah, I've got all the stuff, but I'm probably going to set up that other fish tank first and do it on video. Yeah, I don't want to do so much stuff I run out of ideas. Let's space it out a little bit. It gets cold. Um, Rogers Pass. Is it Rogers Pass? I can't remember. One of the passes around here is the coldest recorded temperature in United States history. They have like a little plaque, it's like this is the coldest spot ever recorded in the United States since they started doing record keeping. It's the aquarium portal. I did it in the green water tank, and it's basically like a vase upside down underwater so the fish can swim up out of the top of the tank into the vase. The one I did wasn't very sturdy, so I'm going to redo it. Yeah, these, especially when you get up in these mountains, it gets cold. Well, I'm sure. Well, I don't know how cold you'll be there, but I've actually been kind of surprised over the last couple years. Some of the cold spells northern Idaho's been getting. There's been times. Well, a couple years back, I was surprised it was like 50 something in Missoula, but you're getting snow in northern Florida. Yeah, I've watched a few of her videos. I'm not subscribed, but yeah, I do like watching some of her stuff. Wow, yeah, it is cold. We didn't get quite that cold last year. Be interesting to see what this winter does. We had a really mild winter, and then when it was supposed to start turning into, and we had some 0 degree, but then it started warming up and getting to about 40, and my plum trees started blooming, and a lot of, the cherry trees around Flathead Lake, that's why they had a bum crop this year. But yeah, everything bloomed, and then it got sub-zero again in March, I think, or February. I can't remember. Yeah, ruined a lot of the fruit tree crops around here. I'll have to check that out. Is that yeah, there's so many wild areas in Idaho. I I go to Google Earth a lot, and I kind of look around in between Montana and Idaho in the mountains and look for dream properties to get away from everybody. There's a lot of it in Idaho, but I don't know how you would get to the store to get to get resupplied some of the wilderness. Well, that's like the trout, and they're a good cold water fish. Those sculpins, and I did verify that's what I caught in the net in the river in the last live stream there. Um, they actually breed or lay eggs and spawn in March when the water gets to be about 45 degrees. That's when they spawn. I was chatting with Everyday Fish Keeper. He's the only one I saw that had videos on keeping sculpins in the tank, and he had mentioned he couldn't ever get them to last very long, and I think they just require really cold, and the cold water has a lot more dissolved oxygen too. I don't know if that's the need for the cold or what, but yeah, and that's why bass don't do so well around here, but in some areas they're invading. Then there's the invasive pike. They don't mind cold either. Always wanted to have a house with a creek running underneath it, or always thought it would be cool to have a koi pond that came into the house also. You'll have to get one under your fish room and put a glass floor in. I don't know if you've seen that Goliad Farms. I think they're down in Texas, but they have that spill. They have cinder blocks that they walk on between the totes, and there's all sorts of cichlids and fish and guppies and mollies and stuff that fall down into that drainage system and just live there, reproduce. But I've seen some underwater videos in there. It'd be pretty cool. Just having a fish all around you. I live about 2 miles away from any rivers. I live in town, but I was raised up Miller Creek, and we had a creek about 20 feet from the house. When I moved to town, it was hard to fall asleep without the sound of the creek out there. I'll have to do that. That river's, it's a beautiful river. I have family that lives in Clarkston, Washington, which borders Lewiston, Idaho. and they took me out on the snake. Yeah, do you have an exposure where you could get a sunset in on it or something like that? Even without it would be pretty, but after this car comes up, I'll do a little pan around of Missoula. Alright, see if I can do this without being too herky-jerky. Probably totally hear that stand creaking. I need to get a better stand. It's kind of up around behind me, the edge of the houses and the hillside. Mount Deanstone right up there. They call this Spanish Heights. That'd be really cool. It's kind of weird with this camera. I don't know how well that's showing up there, but it's actually brighter in the camera than it is in reality. Done with all that herky-jerkiness there. Wonder if I can... Oh, that almost... Trying to zoom in. That looks bad. Yeah, the peak, that would be... I was hoping right out over here. I can't remember what they call it now, but as a kid it was always called Squaw Peak, and it's a really beautiful peak, right? I think it's right in here somewhere. Or actually, I think it's back over here. But that's kind of from up over in the Kalispell direction by Flathead Lake on the other side of that mountain. And we had some rain and it cleared the smoke out pretty good for a while, but this last week got not as bad as it was, but I was kind of liking the fresh air for a while. Get a good rain or two, hopefully it'll extinguish a lot of them. That'd be cool. I'd definitely tune in for that. Yeah, I wish I would have been doing this when the northern lights were really heavy here a couple months ago. The whole sky was lit up like a rainbow. I want to say you're, I can't remember any of the towns in that, but kind of more in the rural area, I'm guessing, or kind of north of the Gulf. I bet this smokes really hard on you with that. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear that. Huh. I'd be afraid of something falling out of the sky and hitting me there. Everybody driving by probably wondering why I'm talking to myself. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that river. You always hear about the Mississippi and down in that area, so or the Everglades in Florida, I guess. That is one nice thing about being up higher in elevations that the rivers usually don't stink quite so bad. Yeah, you gotta do what you can and enjoy it as much as you can. And just be thankful to God for every morning He wakes you up. Thankful for the beautiful sunsets. Do they normally do those launches in the middle of the night, or do they do them at a reasonable time? I imagine they must make a bit of noise. Yeah, I imagine with all the sediment, with all the stuff that washes all the way down, and probably doing a lot of fermenting and decomposing. I kind of imagine like 3 a.m. is when they would do it. Huh. Yeah. Back in the 80s, they used to fly the SR-71 Blackbirds over this area, and it would just shake your house when they flew over. The sonic boom was pretty wild. In the summertime, you'd hear it several times a week, almost every other day. But yeah, it would shake glasses, and since we lived up a really narrow valley or canyon, when it went overhead, it really gave us a lot of percussion. It's always amazing though, like imagining something flying so fast overhead that you couldn't ever see it, and it shook everything in its wake. But yeah, they don't do that anymore. At least they don't fly over us anymore. Yeah, I'm surprised it's still showing up on the camera. You can still see it a little bit in person, but definitely has more of a beautiful red hue on the camera. Must be technology fixing. Yeah, I always love watching like launch videos and stuff. Just the explosions and just that power. Yeah, that's one thing. In Missoula, we have the airport, so sometimes when you get out of town, it can be kind of quiet, but you still have all the air traffic flying over, so you can never really have a truly peaceful time without hearing something flying over in the distance. But yeah, I'm probably going to cut it off here at the hour mark. I still have to go home and cook some food and go to bed, work tomorrow. Thanks for coming, stopping by, enjoying the sunset with me. I know it's not fish, but figured it'd be something different. We'll do the last 45 seconds zoomed in here. That's a little too far. I'm not sure. It'll probably be next weekend before I do another actual stream. But I might even, if I'm doing that tank, might even stream it. I'm not sure. But thank you, Dixon Designs, and thank you, Henry, for stopping by. And I'm sure I'll be keeping an eye out for both of your videos coming up in the future. All right. You have a nice night. Thank you, everybody. Bye.